YouTube? It's your boy Shaggy Steve here with another Escape from Tarkov patch 12.12 guide. In this guide we're going to be doing interchange, hidden caches and floor stashes. So you want to make sure your character's got a nice decent sized rig and backpack. For this run I'm going to use a Black Rock. They're normally about 35 to 40k on the flea market. Fairly decently priced. They've also got a big slot in it in case you find a helmet or headset. You can also use the MK3, which is a cheaper alternative. It's about 25 to 27k. Best to run with the Black Rock though, in my opinion. You also want a decent sized backpack. I'm using the Ragman F5 backpack that you can purchase, Ragman level 2. It's 54,000. You can buy it on the flea for a little bit more if you're not quite at Ragman. I'm also going to take an SMG in. I like SMGs for these loot runs because they're a fairly light weapon. This is a silence SMG, has good ergo, has low vert recoil. Perfect if you do get into a fight. Make sure we're all set up and we're good to go. Now you can do this on your Scav or PMC. For this guide we're going to do it on the PMC. Select next. We want to do this on interchange. Day or night, if you're confident, do it at night. During the day for this guide so you can see where we're running to. You can practice these runs offline. I suggest against it. It's better practice while you're live. We're going to insure all of my gear in case I need to dump it. Select next. And then get ready to jump into this raid. Now in these raids you can spawn all over the map. We've got the railway spawn just out the front of Idea, which is awesome. The very first stash is directly in front of us, which is a cache. Now, on the beginning of these raids, check your left and your right. PMCs spawn either side. As you'll see, just after I loot this cache, we do run into a PMC. You will need to crouch to actually loot this stash, leaving you quite vulnerable. So make sure you do crouch, you loot it quickly, and then get away from it. I like the sword and headset, as I heard the footsteps from this guy coming when he went over the fence. He didn't really have much gear, so it took him out quite confidently. Make sure you check if he's got an extra player with him. This guy, like I said, wasn't looted much at all. He must have been doing stash runs as well. Gonna just quickly pack up a mag and then head to the second stash. Now the next stash is out the front of Idea in a bush. Just want to head up, past this blue fence, another blue fence to your left. The floor stash is right here. Now, at the beginning of these raids, like I said before, just keep checking your left and right. PMCs do run into the front of ID to get inside the Interchange shopping mall. The next one's inside the go-kart track in a bush just directly in front of us. We're going to push towards it. Right here in the bushes on the ground, we're going to loot this stash. Unlucky in that stash, only had a balaclava. Now, once we're done here, we can actually start pushing away from other PMCs. Most would have moved in towards into the Idea shopping center by now. In this run, I did actually come across two PMCs. You probably can't see it in the sped up footage, but there were two people to the left there that were running away from me. And as you'll see, we're doing in this stash run, they did actually hit the stashes in which I was heading toward. The next stash is another ground cache directly between these concrete pillars. I was checking my left and my rights just to make sure that they weren't actually looking over here, which I didn't think they would. They were running away. The next is a ground stash in these bushes directly in front of me. Now, like I said, by now, PMCs have run on, so you're pretty safe by now. This stash was hit. As you can see, we only find a toolbox in here. Still worth hitting these stashes even if they are open, because people often leave them behind if they're bringing in fairly low budget kits for these loot runs. The next is a ground cache. Again, this one was open. No big deal. You'll see later on this run, even though a lot of these caches we hit, we still made quite a significant amount of money. Once you've hit that ground cache, we want to push back past where we just came from. Going to go past all of these concrete slabs in the middle. And then head towards the, there's another ground cache in between these trees. This one could be quite difficult to find if you're not used to these runs. But the easiest way is there's a couple little trees. Just look in between the trees and look down, you can find it. That one was hit and it was empty, which is a little bit unsettling, but that is where the PMCs were running when I pushed over. The next ground stash is right here. Once again, it was hit. Going to check it anyway. Found a nice skull mask, which is not really worth a lot of money on the flea market. It takes up 4 slots. Now we want to head towards the highway. Be careful here. I was just moving very slowly along this run because there were PMCs directly in front of me. Scavs can spawn here early raid as well, so just be careful. Scavs are fairly crazy this pipe. They can headshot you. As you'll see, there was a scav out here. I was hoping I could avoid him, but unfortunately he decided to patch straight back into me, so I just quickly took him out. This is why it's important to have a silenced weapon, so that people can't hear you killing these scavs outside. Check this crate and this couch. Loot and food can spawn on there. And the next stash we're going to head towards is a ground cache. This one wasn't hit, which is surprising because the PMCs were running in this direction. They might not know that this spawns here. Once done, we want to head towards the next part of these pylons here. Going to jump over the fence. Now there is there's like a suitcase and a ammo cache here that you can hit in these runs. Worth hitting because you can find fairly decent ammo and food. And the next ground cache is just behind this tree. And this one wasn't hit either. Well, actually, yes, it was hit. My apologies. This one was hit. So like I said, the PMC is running here. I just got rid of those hats because they'll take up space. Not quite worth it, any money at all. By now, most people would have moved inside. I couldn't see the PMCs, but I'm pretty sure they were running in this direction. And the next ground cache is going to be between these two trees here. This one wasn't hit at all. So it makes me think these PMCs were just running through quickly, getting the ground stash that they can, then getting out. Once we've hit that ground cache, we want to push a little bit forward. And there's an actual ground stash ahead of us between two trees. This is often missed, as people don't actually know this one is here, because it can easily be missed when you're running past. It doesn't really stand out. We just push up here nice and slowly between this foliage right here. See a ground stash, which, funny enough, was actually hit this run. Nothing of great value in there. We're just going to drink up this milk. Now, when you're pushing up to the next ground stash, there is a campfire here with a bag, and food can spawn on this seed as well. It was hit in this run, so I just moved past it. And the next ground stash here is just in the bush to our left-hand side. Once again, this one was hit. Don't stress too much if other people are doing these runs. As you'll see at the end of this guide, you do still make quite a bit of money if you do hit the extra stashes along the way. Now, in this run through, I actually saw the PMCs running up towards the Emicom extract. So after I looted this bag, I did try and chase them down. They looked fairly under-geared from a distance, as we can see right there. They were pushing up along this blue fence line. I tried to chase them down, but I didn't have a lot of stamina. I was fairly heavy at this stage, and unfortunately, they did get out of the raid nice and safe. Once done, I'm going to push back towards the last of the stashes on this side of the map. There is a ground cache in this bush right here, which is hit almost 9 times out of 10 if you don't spawn on this side of the map. If you do spawn on this side of the map, just be careful hitting that ground cache because PMCs and scavs do spawn on this side. There's a ground cache right here as well that we can hit. Oh, sorry, a ground stash. Again, both of those were hit. Those two PMCs were running together through this loot run. Once done, we want to actually cross over the ramp here. Be careful on your left because multiple scavs can spawn here. As you'll see, we run past a dead player on the highway here. Jump over the fence, and there's a hidden ground cache just in front of us in between these rocks. This is a very scary place to be, especially if there's extract campers. This one wasn't hit, so I thought it was worth it, but I did hear footsteps to my left. Sure enough, there wasn't anybody there. Nice impact grenade, gold chain, and relay. That's a lot of money out of that cache. Now, the last hidden caches are quite a while away from here. You can generally extract out right here and now if you don't want to actually push for the next bits. But for this guide, I want to show you all the ground stashes and ground caches. We're going to hug the outside of the map here. Just be careful. There is an extract point up here. People tend to not use this extract point as much anymore. Back when the killer farming was a thing in previous wipes, people used to run in with a rig, no backpack, kill killer, and then run out of that extract. But that doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. Keep pushing along the fence line, checking your left and your rights. And the next ground stash is just behind the blue fence over here, in between the bushes. This one wasn't hit in this run through either. Now, it doesn't look like we've got a lot in our bags right now, so that's why I picked up this this rig, just to make a little bit of extra money. Also saved them a little bit of space as well. Gonna loot everything in that stash, and then we're gonna head into this blue fence line here. Now, I have the key for this bunker out here. It's worth buying this key. It's not that expensive. Gives you a food crate and a weapons case. You can find quite a bit of loot in here. We're going to push up through the power lines. We're going to hit the, there's like 3 stashes here. There's 2 toolboxes and a food crate. Worth hitting. Always find decent loot worth a bit of money. Now, when you approach the power plant this late in the raid, you do need to be careful because there are scavs that spawn. As you'll see, this scav I didn't kill straight away, took out my arm, and also gave me a fraction. Now, I started healing and didn't see that scav behind the blue ute there. Picked up a painkiller before from a stash, so I'm just going to pop that real quick. You don't need full auto for scavs, just keep it on single fire. You can generally head tap them quite comfortably. Now that scav's dead, we're going to hit the very last stash, which is the ground stash just here. This is quite often missed as well in most runs. Most people that spawn at the power plant, they run inside, they loot up, and they get out. Got to quickly check this scav for loot. See if he had anything valuable, which in this run he didn't. Did have some milk though, which will come in handy. And there was another scav here around the corner. Again, single fire is enough for these guys. You can tap kill them pretty quickly. And that is all of the ground caches and stashes in Interchange. These are really worth doing. It doesn't look like I have a lot in my backpack right now. These runs can be a lot more lucrative in finding a lot more rare items. But I think at the end of this run, I got close to almost 400,000 rubles just by what I did find. Again, I was unlucky in this run because there were 2 PMCs that spawned in front of me and were hitting the same stashes as I was. But generally I find when I do these stash runs, I actually don't have enough room in my backpack, even if I bring in a big pilgrim backpack. So, like I said, we did make quite a bit of money. We're going to push out to the Emicom extract now. Keep healing up. It's good to heal up and repair your wounds and stuff in raid because it gives you a little bit more experience. There was an airdrop that came through, so I was a little bit mindful because the airdrop can actually drop down up the end here, and people quickly run outside to loot it. So, we're going to push out towards the Emicom exit. Keep checking our left and rights and praying to RNGesus that there isn't an extract camper sitting here waiting to take us out with all of our juicy loot. Now these runs, they can generally take 15 to 20 minutes. You don't have to hit every single stash. I just showed you every stash for this guide. As you'll see at the end of this, got a bit of experience. Almost 4,000, just a bit over 3,000 experience with 1 PMC killing a whole bunch of scavs. Very, very easy run to do. It's very low risk. You often don't come across many PMCs, only scavs. And once everything was said and done and sold, I made just under 400,000 rubles. Thank you guys so much for watching this Interchange guide. Let me know what you found in the comments below. Peace out.